was like, oh, how was that section over the routes? And Pastrana said, you guys are crazy. Reed's like, what are you talking about? I was like, you guys jumped all those routes. How do you... And you're thinking, wow, this guy's just one of us, like a mountain bike, you know?
So as well as riding with Rennie and many other people throughout your career, you also had a chance to go riding with Travis Pastrana. I'm keen to hear a bit about that, but I think you've forgotten some of it.
I was going to say, do you want the part that I remember or the part that I forgot?
Let's have both.
So we're on Giant and we're in Whistler. I was quite lucky. All the teams I was on went to Whistler. So that place is, as many listeners will either know or want to know, it is incredible. It's cool. And then I was doing the Crankworks commentary. I got to go back all the time as well. So that was cool. So Travis Chipres, who was a really big help to me in the industry, he did my contract at Mongoose, actually, funny enough. And back then, he had connections with Pastrana. He'd always float him bikes and helped him. I think even then. Then he moved over to Giant. And Travis was coming up, and he says, hey, guys. So we'd heard rumors that Pastrana was maybe going to come to Crankworks. Didn't think much of it. Then we get there, and Travis says, hey, you riders, the dinner's booked for 8 o'clock tonight. Don't be late. Someone might join us. I'm thinking, no ways. No ways. And lo and behold, we sit down to dinner. I don't know if Bailey was one of the mechanics on site. I don't know if Colin Bailey was there with us. I forget who. And then I think Danny and Marcelo, maybe whoever's at that time on the team. We sit down with Travis Pastrana and his wife and Chipres. And super casual dinner, having beers, talking very openly. Yeah, it was really special, you know. And then at that dinner, it's sort of, okay, you guys going riding tomorrow? Oh, sure. And I'd heard he's been there before, and he rode with Ben Reed once. And I'd heard him say they'd stop, and then Ben was like, oh, how was that section over the routes? And Pastrana said, you guys are crazy. Reed's like, what are you talking about? I was like, you guys jumped all those routes. How do you... And you're thinking, wow, this guy's just one of us, like a mountain bike, you know? And off we go. So we plan to meet at the lift, and he gets a bike from Giant. I forget. It was just myself, another rider, and Pastrana, and maybe someone else. I don't really know. We had a whole morning of riding. Cool. He's, as you know, I mean, he's like he is on all the videos, super down to earth. We had a great time. And we break for lunch, and he's like, I'm going to go for lunch, see where my wife is. And that was awesome. Thanks so much. You guys are crazy. We're like, that is the most ridiculous thing to come out of your mouth. Like, you're literally the godfather of, you know, extreme sports. Okay, no problem. I've got A-line practice. And off I go. And I think why I was so cocky was probably a good morning with Pastrana, and I'd won the race the year before. So I was super confident, had a good bike set up, and, you know, that was going to be a goal, is to sort of repeat. And no, I got bucked on one of these fast jumps on A-line. To give you an idea that, you know, the jumps are built amazingly well, but when you're at race speed, they're going to be more kicky, and I just got one wrong. Huge crash. Luckily, I wasn't injured any worse, but I definitely got a concussion and knocked my head pretty well. I had to go get scans at the hospital. And I was pretty out of it. You know, don't think I went to dinner that night. I had to recover. And then the next morning, Danny's, how you doing? And dude, I can't believe you rode with Pastrana. I was like, I did what? I rode with who? Dude, you rode with Pastrana. And I just didn't have any short-term memory at that time. So it's funny now. It's quite dangerous. I was like, you're kidding me. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, so where were we last week? No, you're in Mount St. Anne. I was like, oh, cool. How did I do? Yeah, I don't know. You were maybe in the top 10, but you qualified 3rd or 2nd. I don't know what I qualified. I was like, I wouldn't even believe him because I hadn't qualified that well, ever. I think like the previous best was 4th. And he's like, no, you qualified 2nd in the rain. Or 3rd. I don't know. I wouldn't believe it. Yeah, it was so it's funny now. And but it was cool. So we got a dinner the second night. Pastrana's there and that whole Nitro Circus crew. And he comes over. He's like, hey, I heard you had a crash. Are you all right? I'm like, yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, no, I'm all right. And I still didn't remember much of this ride. I'm thinking, what a waste. You get to ride with a guy like this. and you go and crash afterwards. It's mostly come back now. And then we go to the bar, and obviously I'm not going to drink because I'm like, that's obviously a dangerous idea. But I'm not going to miss the opportunity when he says, hey, we're going to go shoot some pool at the Longhorn. The crew's going out. So off we go, and we're shooting a bit of pool. And he comes over, and I was trying to be funny, and he goes, yeah, so you don't remember much? And I was like, yeah, not a lot. He goes, yeah, and you were trying to pick up my wife as well at dinner. And I was like, luckily I switched on, and I said, do you blame me? Now he's taken it back. He's like, what? I said, well, you married her, she's successful, and she's pretty. I mean, do you blame me? So then he was stumped, So I had enough wit to go back at him. But yeah, fond memory now that I kind of do remember it a bit.